Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen, my co-host. We've got a lot to discuss, folks. We obviously need to talk about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the fallout from the assassination of Charlie Kirk at the Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. At least as of this live recording, they do not have a suspect in custody, although this is a rapidly evolving story. Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, already had two kind of major missteps. They announced they had this initial guy who turned out to be kind of a mentally ill person who goes to a lot of political events in Utah. Then separately, there was an individual, actually a Charlie Kirk supporter, who happened to be Arab, and because he looked different, he wasn't a white guy and he looked like an Arab guy, they arrested him. And it was possible that there was a pellet gun, but anyway, he was not the person. But Kash Patel posted, "We've got the suspect in custody." They did not have the suspect in custody. And then there was the photo that was released earlier this morning of the individual they say is the suspect. And the photo this morning is a photo of a skinny white guy. And they're asking for help. I think they posted they want $100,000. They're going to give $100,000 reward. You know, he's wearing a shirt with an American flag and eagle on it, and just seems like a young college-age student, white guy. The shirt says "Land of the Free, Home of the Brave." Similar shirts like that say that, so that's what we believe it says. So I absolutely want to talk that. I want to talk about Donald Trump's appearance at the 9/11 event this morning. This is, I approach this from a level of seriousness always when I talk about his deteriorating health. It looks like he's had a stroke. I don't know how else to say it. If you've seen signs and symptoms of stroke with the droopy face, like it is identical to what he's going through. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't have the ability to make diagnoses, but it certainly, considering all of the things we've been talking about with him and seeing an inability to walk straight, inability to articulate sentences, this all seems to be fitting together. But I'll let you form your own opinions there. And then finally, Cohen, I want to hit all of these issues, and you tell me where you want to start. Inflation came in hot, in a bad way, hot being bad today. Headline inflation, 2.9%. Core inflation up 3.1% year over year. We are, 19 days away or so from a government shutdown. The
potential government shutdown.
Potential government shutdown. The deficit right now, year over year, significantly higher right now in terms of what's being spent versus the revenue being brought in. Hence, the deficit significantly higher this year than it was under Biden, despite Trump saying he brought in $17 trillion. Jobless claims are at highs. Not good data there to report. Where do you want to start, Cohen? I want to hit all of these issues.
I think we have to start with, obviously, the topic that appears to be at the top of everybody's conversation right now, and that, of course, is the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The first thing, and I'm so thankful to have all of the brigaders here with us. It's why I constantly say how important it is to help, to do something, to help to grow the Midas Touch Network, to be a force equal to that of anything on the opposite side. And I kind of got very nervous yesterday when all of this happened because, I have been now part of the Midas Touch Network for almost 6 years, a little over 6 years, involved with Ben, Brett, and Jordy. I consider them to be like younger brothers. And when I started hearing some of the stupidity coming from I'm going to say both sides of the aisle, but more so, of course, on the right, as it related to retribution, retaliation, an eye for an eye. You start hearing people like Steve Bannon. You start listening to other members of Congress talking about how this is Democrats who are trying to silence them, that it's always, Democrats, transgender, etc. I didn't sleep last night because I was thinking about Ben, you as a new dad, and Brett as a new dad, and and Jordy being so young. We're in a ugly place in America right now, to the point that the rhetoric coming out of the far right, as well as the vile shit coming out from the far left, is basically one of the language of a civil war. And by 3:30 in the morning, I started my Substack for the day, which I called "Who is Next for Speaking Out?" And all I could think of, honestly, is the fact that I'm supposed to do 4 of these upcoming town halls at various different universities. Nope, not going to do it. And I started it by writing. Every day I sit down and I write, just as Ben does, as Brett does, as Jordy. I speak for all of us when I say I. And every day we go live, whether it's on here on our YouTube channels, our podcasts, our Substacks, on social media, YouTubes, whatever. Not because this is easy. It's not. And not because it's glamorous. It's not, again. But because it matters. And we do it because our system, our country is broken. And silence, I describe it as complicity. But we do it because we know how dangerous apathy can be. It's why I constantly say to each and every one of you, if Midas Touch Network now has 5 million subscribers to it, 5 million plus, imagine if each and every subscriber, just one person, you'd have 10 million. You could double it, exponential. Yet lately, I'm finding myself, and I know everybody is, we're finding ourselves drained in ways that we just can't even explain anymore. Exhausted, anguished, staring at the ceilings at 3 a.m, wondering, what's the point? What's the point if people trying to do something about it get taken out? And that, my friends, is the danger of what happened to Charlie Kirk. It's the danger of the rhetoric that's coming from the right, and even some of the idiot left that's talking about bringing America back into a war against one another. And I'm nervous about it. I'm extremely nervous, not just for myself. I'm nervous for all of you. I'm nervous for our country. And I don't know what to do other than to ask each and every one of you, do your part. Help to grow this network exponentially. How hard would it be to turn around and to tell a friend, hey, there's only one place to go to get your facts, to get truth, to hear it from people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. Not these fucking asshole pundits on television or on some of these other platforms. Fuck them. All they're doing is reporting what they're reading about in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, or wherever the hell they get their news. You want somebody to read to you? I don't know. Call your mom and tell her to read to you, I don't know, Pretty Pony or something like that. You want facts? You want facts from insiders, people who actually live the other life, who are part of it, that understand what's going on? This is the place and the only place to go. So I ask each and every one of you, do your part. Help to grow this network so that it's so big that we don't have to worry about midterms. We don't have to worry about what just took place yesterday and retribution, retaliation, and so on.
I want to talk about all of the reports of swatting, all of the reports of death threats and bomb threats being called into universities, particularly historical Black colleges and universities, the HBCUs. Over 5, maybe 6 now, HBCUs have been targeted. And Trump's rhetoric during that speech that he gave in the Oval Office just made things so much worse. So much worse. And, you know, I think about former President Obama after church shooting that resulted in the deaths of so many African Americans, that was racially targeted. Obama would get up there. We need to bring the country together just because we have this vigilante out, you know, or this terrorist out there who fancies himself as a vigilante, this terrorist out there. That is not representative of who of what this country should ever be about in terms of racial divisions. And we need to come together right now. This should be a moment of empathy and healing. Obama gave a speech like that. You contrast that to what Donald Trump said in the Oval Office. And by the way, it was a bizarre speech too, because I don't know if you saw this, Cohen, as we talked about his health issues. It looks like they did multiple cuts of a very short speech, and he kept on covering his hands, and it looked like they were doing what's called a morph cut, where they try to keep blocking his hands by splicing over the footage. But he went out and said that basically being a liberal is a sickness, and he basically called Democrats terrorists, and he basically called for retribution against liberals and Democrats in the speech, and about how they need to be rooted out, essentially, was the speech that he gave. And Cohen, all this language that came from right-wing media after the shooting death of Charlie Kirk, without knowing who the shooter is, to say this was a Democrats, this was liberals. And
who was it? Nancy Mace. God forbid you get between her and a camera. Started sitting there. It was literally before anyone even knew that Charlie Kirk had passed. She already had the whole game down. She knew everything already. It's a Democrat. It is a far left Democrat. They started talking about how it has to be somebody who's tranny, that there has to be, and that there's writings on bullets and on the guns. And I don't even know where she got this information from. It's almost like one idiot is talking stupidity in the toilet, and then everybody is taking that as fact and running with it. But they're running with it, Ben, on television. And they're running with it to their audience, which is so that they're so hyped up on wanting that, on wanting something bad. It's like they live for bad.
And they want blood on the left. Like, that's what they're saying. I mean, my brother compiled a list of all of these kind of right-wing influencers and people with actual influence, whether it's like Elon Musk. If they won't leave us in peace, then our choice is to fight or die. Who's the they there? Libs of TikTok. This is war. This guy Joey Manorino. The Democrat Party must be classified as a domestic terrorist organization. Gunther Eagleman. They've declared war. You have Matt Forney, Charlie Kirk being assassinated as the American Reichstag fire. It's time for a complete crackdown on the left. Every Democratic politician must be arrested and the party banned under. I could keep reading more and more and more, but this happened. These statements all happened right after the shooting. And you remember when there was the assassination attempt on Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, they did the same thing. It's the left, it's liberals, it's Democrats. Then it turned out it was a Trump supporter. It was a Republican. I think they call them groypers or groypers. Like, these are like far right, like incel, even like to the right of Charlie Kirk. And this guy's parents were Trumpers. in Butler, Pennsylvania, lifelong Republicans. And then even after it was known that it was a Republican, Cohen, what did they do?
Nope.
They didn't care. They
Nope.
still said it was a Democrat. The
Still a
Democrats
Democrat.
tried to take my life. They tried to come after me. And here, we don't know. I'll tell you what we do know. When Melissa Hortman and her husband, Hortman was the head of the House of Reps. She was the Speaker of the House, or the former Speaker of the House in Minnesota. She was killed in a political assassination in Minnesota by a Republican MAGA guy to kill her. Trump said, I'm not even going to call Governor Walz because he's a mess. He's a wreck. And then Trump and all these right-wing people, these right-wingers, what do? They accuse the Democrats and Governor Walz of being responsible for the politically motivated assassination of Melissa Hortman, the Democratic Speaker of the House, when it was clear it was a Republican. You go back to any of these incidents, Cohen and Brigaders, like you go back to the tragedy of the Los Angeles wildfires. Right away, when the wildfires, when I live in LA, I was evacuated from my home, almost got burned down. Like, we in LA are thinking we need to save each other's lives. We need to make sure our families are in safe locations. And what do Trump and the right wing do right away? They spread lie after lie. There was no water in the reservoirs.
Ben, go back earlier than that. Go back to when, Peter Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, was attacked with a hammer, had his fucking head, his skull cracked open. And what did they say? What did they say about the perpetrator? Oh, had nothing to do with Republicans, had nothing to do with MAGA. They turned around and they claimed that he was having some sort of a homosexual relationship, and it got out of control. Seriously? I mean, when you sit and you listen to the lies, and that's all that they are all a bunch of lies. This isn't a Republican issue. This is not a Democratic issue. This is not an independent issue. This is an American issue. All right? We are divided as a nation like hasn't been, at least since the Civil War. And they are looking for retribution. They are looking for retaliation. You know, Ben, it's why, like, even in my Substack, I turned around and I wrote, so I'm torn. I'm torn, and I'm curious as to how you feel about it. I don't know what to do. I'm torn between my duty to speak, to fight, to continue to educate, and my duty to the people who love me, my family, who don't want to bury me because I tried to do the right thing. And they remind me that I had left them once for over a year. And this would be forever. My children went on to remind me last night that they want me to walk them down the aisle, to hold their children, to love my grandchildren as I love them. And that's what really makes yesterday's tragedy not just heartbreaking, but terrifying. Because Charlie Kirk's death, it's not a headline. It's not. It's a warning. It's a wake-up call to all of us saying, if you dare to step out there, if you dare to challenge, if you dare to believe that you can make a difference, you may not make it home. And that's what makes me nervous. And I happen to be, and I'm not a nervous person.
You know,
I'm not.
I harbor a lot of complex thoughts on the Charlie Kirk assassination. On the one hand, he is a human being, or was a human being, who said some of the most vile and hateful and divisive things. And the idea of celebrating him in the ways I've seen, whether it's flags being, lowered, or, having at the Yankee Stadium, or the way I see media cherry picking his speeches to show, okay, maybe he said something that sounded normal and persuasive here, but this is someone who said a lot of anti-Black, anti-gay, anti-women rhetoric. And so I can look and say, wow, I have the strongest of strong disagreements with this person.
Me too.
At the same time, he was a husband. He had children. He was a human being who had a life. And despite the disagreements that were so strong, never would I ever want an outcome like that, ever. And, and it's why in the strongest possible terms, we condemn that violence. We condemn that behavior. We condemn it in all of its forms right away. And that doesn't mean, though, that I can ignore what it is that he said and the language that he used over and over again repeatedly to demean and to punch down and to threaten other people. So that's one. Two, to answer your question, Cohen, at a personal level, and I'm sure you agree with this at a personal level, I understand and recognize that I am a target for bad things. Let's just say that. I know that when I walk in the street, I'm recognized the way you are. I know that when I'm around people, they know who I am. And I know that I'm a visible person. But personally, if there wasn't the aspect of family, personally, I don't fear my own death. I'm just going to say it direct. Like as me personally, if it's going to happen to me sometime, I would rather be out there speaking how I want to speak and how I feel than be humiliated multiple times a day, speaking for the regime every single moment and having a life filled with humiliation. Sure. But to your point, Cohen, there's
you're no longer just Ben.
I'm a dad.
You are no longer. You're a husband. Forget about the fact that you're a son and you're a brother and a friend to many. You're a husband, and most importantly, you're a father. And there's no doubt in my mind that you want to be there for your kids' graduations. You want to walk her down the aisle. You want to hold your grandchildren. So yeah, I get everything that you say. Listen, as a young kid, before I was married, I was completely reckless, riding motorcycles, jumping off roofs. Yeah, we don't think. But when you become a parent, when you become a husband, you're not thinking about yourself anymore, right? There's more than just you. And my fear is right now, we are, as a country, as close to being on fire as a country could possibly be. And I just want you, and I want the boys, I want all of our brigaders, just please be careful. Be very, very careful, especially those of you that live in ruby red districts and states and so on. You don't know the stupidity on the other side. You don't know who is listening to the vile shit like coming out of Steve Bannon's mouth and others, or Alex Jones. You don't know who's listening to them and what it's putting into their head, because there's a lot of people out there that, well, let's just call them what they are, right? They're out of their fucking minds and they do stupid, bad things.
I'll show you what Nancy Mace said. This is the video of Nancy Mace on Capitol Hill. And I give this reporter, Ryan Nobles, credit. He asked a really good follow-up with Nancy Mace when she immediately tried to blame Democrats for it. So Nobles is like, okay, so Melissa Hortman, are you going to say that that's Republicans' fault here? Let's play this clip.
I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated. My kids have called panicking. All the kids of every conservative in the country called panicking. Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot.
Then by that logic, do Republicans own the shooting of the two Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota? Isn't this on both sides?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm asking.
We don't know what condition Charlie Kirk is in right now. Some raging leftist lunatic put a bullet through his neck, and you want to talk about Republicans right now? No.
No, I'm asking
not
you.
at all.
You said the
No,
Democrats
this
have
is
to,
on.
but
The
I'm asking,
Democrats own this.
But isn't there a problem with
this.
political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. That's the subject of this that we're talking about right now. Democrats own this 100%.
What do you Democrats own what? Why would Democrats own this?
By the
And
way,
again,
how does she know who the shooter is? How does she know that it's a Democrat? I mean, is it a possibility? Sure, it's a 50-50. How does she know? Does she have some info that even the FBI, law enforcement, the country, her family, the GOP, how does she have this information?
and when you talk about the anti-black mass shooting at the Charleston church, right? June 17th, 2015. We know is that guy Dylan Roof. Did Obama get up there and say, Republicans own this? This is the Republicans. Could you imagine what that would have done to I can, because I know what this is doing to the country. If Obama said, Dylan Roof, these are the same anti-black messages you're hearing from Republicans every day. They own this. And you did that from the Oval Office. That's not what Obama said. Obama said, we need to heal. We need to come together. We need to bring the country together right now through these difficult times. And this was one of the biggest. 9 people were killed during their Bible study at the church. And Obama said, let's heal. Let's come together as a country. And the Republicans, it's a leftist. It's a Democrat. No, we don't know. We don't know who it is. And we should wait to find out who it is and then truly understand why this took place. But what we do know, Cohen, is the photo of the individual that's been released that the FBI wanted help to identify. And again, it's a little bit pixelated, but it looks like it's a white college age student. That's what it looks like. Wearing a skinny white college age student wearing an American flag shirt. But I also want to point out, Cohen, that yesterday, yes, there was a lot of attention on Charlie Kirk. There was a school shooting that took place in Evergreen High School in Colorado. And, I think that Kyle Clark is a reporter out there. He does his job so good that rather than me paraphrasing Kyle Clark's commentary, let me show it to you because it's spot on. Let's play it.
A famous man was shot in Utah today, a friend of the American president. School children were shot here in Colorado today, friends to their classmates at Evergreen High. Each of their lives had worth and value that no other person had a right to try and take. But all of them, all of us, live in a country where too many are sick with the delusion that somehow violence is going to solve our problems. Specifically, that picking up a gun and shooting somebody is going to solve our problems. A country where anger is not just accepted, but it is encouraged, where talk of vengeance and reprisals is now just openly seeping out of the dark corners of the internet and into the echoes of dark minds. It's a sickness that cannot be isolated, not to one kind of community, not to one kind of school, not to one type of political ideology. It is everywhere in this country. And this thinking that violence, that shooting someone is going to solve a problem is a sickness that does not always claim the life of the afflicted. Too often, it's the life of someone else, which means that not any one of us, not a friend of the president or a friend to their classmates, is safe.
I mean, it's brilliantly said. Unfortunately, the rhetoric that is coming out right now from the right is entering into the dark minds, to the black souls of these individuals who have real serious issues. And then all it does is perpetuate more pain, more loss, more emojis of thoughts and prayers. And we all together have to make this stop, plain and simple.
We only have one short break today, so we're going to take that break now. What does everyone think about my new background here? Do you like the new background? Do you not like the new background? Well, maybe I'll keep up this background. We will see. When we come back, I want to talk about Donald Trump's deteriorating health. Did he have a stroke? Did he have multiple mini strokes? I don't know, but his face certainly looks like it has the indicia of that. Again, just an opinion, not a medical professional, but I can evaluate stroke symptoms. I want to talk about how Brazil, their Supreme Court did the right thing, found Bolsonaro guilty, leading an insurrection. I want to talk about the economy and more. Let's take our first and only super quick break of the show.
You know, losing someone close really makes you think about the future. I've seen friends and family struggle with the unexpected hits. You know, losing someone really close makes you think about the future. I've seen friends and family struggle when the unexpected hits. And the last thing that you want is for your loved ones to worry about bills, the mortgage, or tuition on top of the grief. And that's why I looked into life insurance and why I went through Ethos. Getting coverage through Ethos was shockingly easy. It's 100% online, no medical exam required. You just answer a few health questions. I mean, I literally got an instant rate in as little as 10 minutes, the same day coverage without even leaving my house. I mean, that's faster than waiting for a politician to get anything done. Life insurance isn't just about death. It's about making sure that your family can keep their home, send the kids to college, maintain their lifestyle if something happens to you. And with Ethos, it's actually affordable. I mean, there are some policies as low as $2 a day, literally billed monthly with up to $3 million coverage. I mean, they're disrupting the old confusing way of doing life insurance. And you know what? It shows. Over 3 million families have trusted Ethos, and they're rated 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot. So do this for your family and do it now. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. And get your free quote at ethos.com/beatdown. That's ethos.com/beatdown. It's fast, simple, reliable, and honestly, a little peace of mind goes a long way, even in my world. Look, I don't drink, I don't smoke, never have. My vices were, well, let's just say of an entirely different variety. But I still need a way to unwind, to shut my brain off after a day of writing, ranting, and trying not to throw my phone across the room. And that's where Soul's out-of-office gummies come in. They give me that same light, happy buzz without the hangover, without the sugar, and definitely without me doing something that I'm going to regret. So here's the thing. Soul is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Their out-of-office gummies are incredible. They relax me, they lift my mood, and they help me stay creative. And if you'd rather sip than chew, check out their new out-of-office beverage. Alcohol-free, refreshing, and perfect whether you're on the couch or hanging with friends. And at night, when my head's still spinning, Soul's sleepy gummies, they knock me out in the best possible way. No tossing, no turning, just some real actual rest. Everything they make, by the way, is vegan, gluten-free, low in sugar, federally legal, and grown right here in the USA. So you can actually feel good about putting it in your body. So do yourself a favor. Bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Soul today. Right now, Soul is offering my audience 30% off your entire order. So go to getsoul.com and use code BEAT. That's getsoul, GETSOUL.com, promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, for 30% off. And trust me, this is one vice you can actually brag about.
Hey, Cohen, when you knew Trump, did he have a droopy face like that, or is that something?
No.
Is that something new that we're seeing?
No.
And you and I've known people who have had strokes. Many people I've known who have had strokes. That's exactly what they look like. I just that is one of the the droopy face. We saw him at this.
Well, look, since neither you nor I are doctors, right? I think it's incumbent upon us just to sort of, be fair. There's many other conditions that cause that, as opposed to just a stroke. It could be some form of Bell's palsy, which, by the way, there are, Bell's palsy is also brought about. It's not sometimes the condition is not necessarily lifetime Bell's palsy, but flus sometimes cause a face to drip. So does high blood pressure. So I don't want to turn around and say, but to answer your question, to be fair, no, I've never seen Donald Trump's face droop when I worked for him.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, it looks pretty bad. But let's talk about the economy drooping that impacts us. Donald Trump said he brought in $17 trillion. That was his number.
Into his own pocket.
$17 trillion.
Did he tell, by the way, Ben, did he tell us where the money went?
He didn't tell us where the money went.
Did he bring it into the U.S. government? Did he bring it into
17
his
trillion
own
is a lot. The monthly deficit in August was $345 billion. Revenues, $344 billion. Spending, $689 billion. The total deficit for 2025, Michael Cohen and Brigaders, if you wanted to know, $1.973 trillion with 1 month to go in the fiscal year. That's $76 billion higher than the same point in 2024, which was $1.897 trillion. Now, obviously, if we brought in $17 trillion, that means we would have a surplus of about 16 or $15.9 trillion. So obviously, but it's such an egregious lie, Cohen, that Financial News, CNBC, like no one's calling him out on yes, we see his physical deterioration before our eyes, and yes, the guy lies, but saying you brought in $17 trillion when you have that deficit looking more like $2 trillion for the end of the fiscal year. Deficit, not surplus, deficit. So if you brought in 17 and your deficit was 2 and you brought in 17, what would that be? That'd be 15 trillion in a surplus for the year. That's not happening. And then Cohen, though, no one calls it out. And they're like, that's just Donnie being Donnie. I mean, to me, that's one of those things that's like, hello, 25th Amendment time, impeachable offense time, to lie about something like that.
Ben, he doesn't just talk about the $17 trillion that came in. He ends up getting his enablers. Even you're talking about the Secretary of the Treasury and the economic advisors. They're all talking the same. Donald Trump has brought in $17 trillion worth of investment into America and through tariffs and all this other nonsense and so on. And they all continue to spew the same thing. And I can't tell you, Ben, the number of people, and I'm talking about educated, highly educated. So 2 of them went to Ivy League schools. Turned around and said to me, wait, the country is on the right path. Trump brought in $17 trillion. And I said, really? Why don't you just tell me where that money is? Well, what do you mean, where's the money? The money's in the account. What account? I mean, in fact, no money's come in. And whatever money is coming from tariffs, I heard it's about $1 trillion. Where do you think that money came from? Come on, Brigaders. You're smarter than the average bear. Where do you think that $1 trillion of money that came into the United States coffers regarding tariffs came from? Let me start by saying my 3 magic words. Tariffs are taxes. Let me give you my second famous 3-liners, and we need to put this on a shirt. Consumers pay tariffs. It came from your dollars. When you go over to your big box store, when you go over to your stores, your Walmarts, your Costco's, your Myers, wherever the hell you go, and you're buying stuff and there's an increase, that money, that tariff money That $1 trillion is coming from your pocket. So if you can't pay for your medication, if you can't pay for your rent, if you can't pay for food, you know why? Because you're paying tariffs.
You know, when I talk about Ponzi schemes, one of the lines I often use is you're robbing Peter to pay Paul while asking for 2 more weeks in order to rob Peter to pay Paul. That's like the classic Ponzi scheme, right? Give me some time. You take, that's what the tariffs are, part of this Ponzi scheme economy. Rob here, give here. But the systemic numbers show a very weakening and softening economy. And by the way, we all know this if you live in the world and you go out and you buy things, or if you know people, or if you speak to people. Like Heather Long is a renowned economist, and she has explained that year over year, headline inflation is 2.9%, core inflation is 3.1%. And then when she goes through other categories, like coffee is up 20.5%, audio and electronics is up 12.5%. And you go through the different categories like groceries and beef and all these things up. But like, we don't need a world-renowned economist to tell us that, right? Like when you're out, you know, go, holy crap, that was way more expensive now. Or you look at your grocery bill, if you live in the real world and you don't live in Club Rose Garden or whatever the hell they're calling it, you go, holy crap. Or you look at your bank account at the end of the month and you're like, where have I been spending my money? Where oh yeah, that's where it's going. It adds up.
And things are going to get much, much worse. And they're going to get worse simply because, remember, most people, and tell me if this isn't happening to you in your life, you used to pay for your groceries and your children's back to school stuff with your debit card, meaning you're using your own money to pay for your life. It's the same as cash, right? Your debit card is technically the modern way of cash. Nobody wants to take cash anymore, so it's all by debit. When you use your credit card, you're using somebody else's money to pay for goods you need today. And by the way, if you don't have the money at the end of the month, yeah, you could pay the bare minimum along with like a 22% interest rate onto it. You never end up catching up. It's better than the mafia with a VIG because you never get to pay it off. And you keep choking yourself week after week after week until ultimately you just can't pay it. So what do? You lose everything. That's where this country is going. Not for the uber rich, not for the guys when they're talking about, oh yeah, Elon Musk, like we're all supposed to fell over the fact that Elon Musk, they say, could potentially be the first trillionaire in world history. Like that, is that going to do shit for you? Is it going to turn around and buy your kid the backpack or the school supplies, the pens, the pencils, the pencil box? You know what? You don't really need a pencil box. Just throw it into the little side container and so on. Yeah, Dad, I want a pencil box. Everybody else has. Yeah, I'm sorry. You can't get it this year. Why? I don't know. Now all of a sudden it's $9 instead of $1. All right. If Elon Musk becomes a trillionaire, is he going to do shit for anybody? Yeah. The only thing it's going to do is negative because he's going to use that money to fuck up the rest of our lives.
You know, I'm just getting this in right now, so I want to bring it up, Cohen. Donald Trump was asked about those Russian drones that invaded Poland. And what would your guess be of what Donald Trump said? We haven't discussed this, but I know you know, Don. What would you guess if Donald Trump was asked by a reporter, what's your response, Donald, to drones going into Poland? What do you think his response was?
Well, it's going to be one of two things. It's, of course, not going to be negative to Russia. It'll be, of course, negative to Poland. But either he'll say he knows nothing about it, right? I don't know about it. I haven't been informed about it and so on. You know, it certainly is Putin's rights within to fly the drones and so on. But he may turn around and then just say, listen, you know, it's absolutely, I have no issue with it. You know, this is Putin's war, which of course was started by Joe Biden and the Democrats. They never would have, this never would be happening if I was president in the past. But, you know, Putin, I'm not happy about it, but Putin is going to do what Putin has to do.
Yeah, you were so somewhat. So he goes, how do we know what really happened? Could have been
God. That was definitely not in my repertoire.
Could have been a mistake. He goes, it could have been a mistake. We don't know. It could have been a mistake, is what he says there. So I mean, could have been a mistake was the exact quote. How ridiculous do you get there? I do want to highlight this though, as more and more information kind of comes out about the Epstein files, and I still want to make sure we cover it here. When the Democrats are on Capitol Hill, they've been doing. Let me show you the clip. Jeremy says we have the clip. I'll just show everybody what Trump said, so you can hear him his own words. Let's play it.
What's your reaction to Russian drone incursion into Poland?
Could have been a mistake. But regardless, I'm not happy about anything having to do with that whole situation. But hopefully it's going to come to an end.
Right. I was right. I'm not happy about any of that situation. He did not go into the extended version. This was the short version. Because if he would have gone into the extended version, none of this ever would have happened. This is all Joe Biden, sleepy Joe Biden, the worst president in history. All right. If I had won the election, none of this would have happened. Putin never would have invaded Ukraine.
I'm not happy about anything about this situation. On the other, I'm not sure if you saw, Lindsey Graham introduced legislation basically that would characterize Russia as a terrorist nation. And Lindsey Graham's like, and it's time we call out anybody and name shame them if they're not going to call Russia a terrorist nation. It's like, Lindsey, it's your guy Donald brought Putin over to Alaska, rolled out the red carpet, had our military bend down on their knees for him, roll out the red carpet, brought Putin into the motorcade as Putin was laughing, let Putin control the press conference. Donald then says Putin's going to agree to a ceasefire, bilateral and trilateral meetings, and security guarantees. None of that takes place. Russia strikes an American factory called Flex in Western Ukraine. No comment from Donald. J.D. Vance's response was, that's just war. This is what happens in war. Of course, American factories are going to get hit in Ukraine. It's like an act of war. I mean, Russia striking an American factory, no comment from Donald Trump. And then Poland had to invoke Article 4 of NATO, which is the consultation provision before the step up to Article 5. And Donald Trump's response is, I don't like anything about that whole situation. The invasion by Russia of Ukraine that you promised you would resolve in 24 hours of the election, it's just lie after lie, like the lie that he was going to produce the Epstein.
Yes, but Ben, let me be very clear. You're ignoring one very important fact. No, but Ben, join me in this. You're ignoring one very important fact.
Yes.
Okay, join me for a second.
I can telepathy.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Right. You know what fact that you're forgetting? I forget lots of facts. My day is forgetting facts. He already stopped 7 wars.
Oh, 10.
Is it up to 10 now?
That could be. There could be 3 he wasn't aware. Yeah.
Okay. So at least 7 wars. And this one, he will take care of in how long? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. He stopped the war between Russia and Poland. That's what he's going to. So that's going to be 8. Russia and Poland. He's up to 8. He creates the war, and then it temporarily pauses, and then he takes credit for it. It's so utterly absurd. Let me show you this one, Cohen, though, because I thought that Democrats, if you've been watching some of these committee hearings, I think they've been doing a good job calling out MAGA Republican absurdity. Like, I'm not sure if you saw this exchange right here in the Judiciary Committee between Jim Jordan, who chairs the Judiciary Committee, and Democratic Congress member Moskowitz. Let me show you the first clip of it. Let's just play the first one, Jeremy.
I'm here to defend him as by far the best investigator of all time in the Capitol, which is exactly why all of his investigations, which have used, Chinese informants that were prosecuted and Russian disinformation, people from prison. I mean, the main thing he was tasked with last year, right, which was the Biden impeachment, that we had a vote. Oh no, we never had a vote on that because, of course, he didn't find any evidence. So this morning, our close personal friend, Mr. Comer, said that he was not going to look into the letter or the doodle, the president's doodle. He's a decent doodler, by the way. So he wasn't going to look into whether the signature was a forgery, and I'm concerned about that because this is the president of the United States. If there are forgeries or forgers out there, I think we should investigate it. And in fact, this document is 22 years old. So you're telling me someone 22 years ago went back to the future and forged his signature when he was a Democrat. And somehow this person was Nostradamus, knew he would become a Republican, become president 22 years later. So listen, I submit to you that we can solve this problem for the American people. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to take our dear personal friend, Mr. Comer's word for it. Let's bring in a signature expert. You guys pick the witnesses. Bring in your signature experts, swear them under oath, and let's have the signature examined. Is it his or it is not his? We don't have to play games or the president says it's not his, we say it's him. No, let's bring in a signature expert, a referee, because we can't agree on anything, even when it's right in our face, of whether that is indeed the president's signature, or if it's a forgery, we should immediately open up an investigation into this forgery. I think that's...
Well, the gentleman yield.
That was great. Here's the other clip of Congressmember Moskowitz addressing the fact that MAGA Mike Johnson said that, there you have it right here. You have the signature, Cohen. I'll show you the other one of Congressmember.
He sent to me. Looks kind of, I know for a fact that he signed it.
Here's what Congressmember Swalwell said. Let's play the Swalwell clip.
I don't understand the logic here that because you think the Democrats did nothing on the Epstein files in the Biden administration, that to own the libs, you now have license to leave sexual assault victims unprotected. It's just crazy that you hate the Democrats so much that you would let the most notorious child sex trafficker and the people connected to him not be held accountable because you want to own the libs. Let's just take you at your word. Okay, the Democrats did nothing. So you're going to do nothing is what you were telling me. The Democrats, of course, did not do nothing.
I mean, they're so great. Look, as you know, I like Eric very much. I think he's funny. I think Moskowitz is a character. If you could hear the giggling going on in the background, because I hate to say it, with this Congress, you almost have to become more of a comic than you are of a diplomat, because the absurdity is right there in your face. And by the way, talking about absurdity, nothing is more absurd than that clip that we showed you a little bit ago of Nancy Mace responding to a question from a reporter. Her response is so stupid, it's so vile, it's so demeaning, and it's so wrong in every way, shape, and form that Nancy Mace, hands down, deserves today's two-finger salute. Honestly, fuck you. I hate to waste it on her because she's such an easy target, but this was so stupid. So stupid. Instead of bringing the temperature down during an event that is fucking vile and grotesque and horrible, no matter whether you like the guy or not, whether you agree with one thing or you agree with nothing that comes out of his mouth, the act is so vile and grotesque and so dangerous to our democracy. The fact that she could sit there and make the claims, this is Democrats have to own it. We have to own it. We have to own it. Well, what do you want? Who do you want? You want Hakeem Jeffries to get up, or Cory Booker, or Chuck the Schmuck Schumer? You want them to get up and say, okay, yeah, somehow or another, we're responsible for this. Sure, Nancy Mace, whatever you say. What the fuck do you want Democrats to do when we have no idea who the shooter is? Everybody's out there looking for him. So how all of a sudden she and she alone can make a determination? And then the worst part, she's actually not the only one. They're all saying the same stupid thing, and they are just inciting more violence. So Nancy, again, come on.
There you have it, folks. New background for me right here. Great to be with you, Cohen. I had to be in a new location with better Wi-Fi, so found this location. We'll see if I keep doing this one. I want to tell everybody before we go, on behalf of the entire Midas Touch Network, I probably have received thousands, if not tens of thousands, of comments from people at this point, telling me to stay safe and telling Cohen to stay safe and all of our other hosts and contributors. And we certainly appreciate all of your comments, all of your concerns. We are incredibly grateful for this community at this moment in history, for your trust that you place in us. Every single day we wake up in the morning, and if we sleep, as Cohen told you, some nights it's sleepless nights. Many nights it's a sleepless night, and we stay up, not viewing what we do as a job, but viewing what we do as existential, to get out the truth, to get out the facts, to try to do our best to heal the nation and to bring us together with facts and with truth and with democracy. That's what we try to do here on the Midas Touch Network each and every day. I hope you appreciate the way we have been covering the Charlie Kirk situation. We pride ourselves on very responsible coverage in difficult moments. And we always try to make sure we are balancing, focusing on obviously condemning in the fullest extent, violence, assassinations, death, any types of attacks. And we can't, though, as I mentioned earlier, though, in condemning the violence, that doesn't mean, though, that we should ever ignore if someone has said bad things in the past. Doesn't mean that they should be targeted for violence. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But also, I'm going to call out if people are trying to recreate or reconstruct a narrative around someone saying things and behaving in ways that was inconsistent with what their actions were when they were on this earth. And I think all we can do when we're on this earth for the short period of time we're on this together is just to try to be good people every day, to bring people together, to encourage, to support, to respect people's differences, to protect, not bully, to uplift and not punch down.
Yep.
That's our ethos here. I'll see everybody for the live show I do with my brothers tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Cohen, great spending this time with you. Beatdown Brigaders, great spending this time with you as well. Next week, Michael Cohen and I will be going live on Patreon. Excited to see everyone there on our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/political beatdown. You can check us out there. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack. It's a great Substack. Make sure you subscribe there. You can subscribe to the Midas Touch Substack as well. On audio, you have Michael Cohen's other podcast called the Mea Culpa Podcast. It's a great show. Make sure you're
tomorrow, by the way, Ben, just so you know, and I'm going to tell the Brigaders, tomorrow I have Allison Gill is on. And then for my Monday drop, get a load of this one. You know who's joining me on Mea Culpa Monday?
Who?
God.
The God account?
God.
Well, we will be seeing Michael Cohen interview
I thought I
God.
was going to be talking to God while I was walking on this planet,
Well,
but I do speak to him.
Cohen with the God exclusive. Everybody, thank you so much for watching Political Beatdown. We're grateful for you. Stay in there. Stay strong. Stay together. We
Stay
appreciate you. And most importantly, stay safe. Shout out Beatdown Brigaders. Shout out Midas Mighty, and hit subscribe.